aside from being funny, what does it take to have a successful career in comedy, do you think?
Ooh, like I said, the self-motivation is a big thing because, again, it's a very difficult life. The audiences don't travel. You have to travel to get better. You have to get on stage a lot. You have to spend a lot of time writing and really to get good, and you have to put a lot of time into it. And there's not a lot of financial opportunity early on. I don't know where I heard it, but I like to say that there's no money in LA until they're giving it all to you. So when you're starting out, you're going to get a lot of spots where you're not getting paid, and you have to do them because they're the only spots coming your way. So you have to get up on stage as often as possible when you're starting out. Quantity does matter because you want to put yourself in every single situation, with every different type of crowd and every different type of show, whether you're in a bar and you're trying to get people's attentions and they won't give it to you, or whether you're in a theater setting and the audience is there and primed and ready for you, and you don't have to yell at them. They don't want that, So you have to put yourself in every situation. So you take every single gig you can get, and you, like I said, you work on progressing, trying to do sets that, you get better at. At some point, it will become more about quality than quantity, where you get to be a little bit more, get to pick and choose a little bit more. And there again, we just look at what can I do during this set tonight that's going to move me forward? What am I going to learn from today's performance? So I think it's going into the sets with a mentality that, hey, what am I going to get out of this? And really having a plan. So I think you have to be very prepared. You have to be very wise with your time. You have to be very wise with your finances, because there will be opportunities that you have to sacrifice because you're not getting paid and that you have to work. That's reality. Going on the road. A lot of comics don't like to go on the road because they're here in Los Angeles or New York to get the movie and TV career going. So they'll sacrifice those road gigs to stay in town. Well, there's no money in town, so you better be good with your finances, So you really have to look at the opportunity cost of everything and make decisions at some point in your life. But early on, it's getting on stage as often as possible. It doesn't matter if there's a couple people in the audience. Doesn't matter if, if you can get a great room, fantastic. It's about getting on stage and learning from those sets,
Can one succeed by just being funny?
No, I think it gives you a good chance, but there's plenty of elements that come into a successful career. You have to have a work ethic. If you have talent and a work ethic, the great thing about comedy is you will get better over time. But you have to have a little bit of both of those. You can't just have talent and not work hard, Michael Jordan was in a gym. Kobe was in a gym. That's what comics are doing, the same thing. You have to get on stage. That's the gym. Again, I feel it's a very muscle memory type of thing, especially if you're going to progress and learn from your previous sets. So you have to get up and do that, do sets. So I think also attitude. You can't be a jerk to people. A lot of this business is who you know, and we want to be around people that we like. And if you're a jerk to another performer, if you're a jerk to someone in the staff, I have to be around the staff every night of the week. If you're a jerk to someone that's on our staff, they're going to come to me and tell me, and it will definitely influence my booking of you, because I also have to make sure that they're happy, that they're part of my family. And if you want to be part of my family, you have to treat everyone a certain way, with professionalism and general kindness. You don't have to be super kind. You just at least have to not be a dick, Sorry,
yeah.
I don't know if
no, you're allowed to say whatever you want. Yeah, don't be a douchebag. That's pretty much. But and talking about playing with Jordan, the comedy, going to clubs that are that green room of like being in the dream team locker room. Like your green room, or in the Improv, or at the Comedy Store, spend time at the clubs that you want to be working, because you're going to see the caliber of comics, and that's going to influence me specifically, not only in this is the attitude that this is where I want to be, but this is also going to upgrade my comedy personally. But do you think
there's plenty to learn at the clubs. You know, if you're not on stage, you should be watching someone. Again, it's part of the process of putting in the time and the effort. You don't have to come develop a relationship with me if you're not working the club yet. So it's not about, hey, greasing up the booker in any sense. It's about you becoming a better act. That's what's going to get you on our stage at the end of the day. I'm not going to put acts on stage that I don't feel are going to at least do a certain amount of business for me. And when I say business, I just mean a good show. I'm not talking about drawing acts. And you can come to me. There's plenty of acts that come and say, hey, I have 200 people that'll come out and see me on any Thursday of the year. I don't care. If you're not good enough to come perform on our stage, that's what the bottom line is for us. We're not a place, and I'm lucky working for a business that's been a club that's been in business for over 40 years. And we're in Los Angeles, and we have a certain reputation that the quality is always going to be great. And again, I have an owner that we're a small business. We're not a big chain. I can afford to worry about each individual that walks on our stage because every night is important to us. And so I don't take a lot of risks. That is one of the things at the club. I'm not a huge risk taker. I do want to make sure, like I said, that there's a certain floor of your performance, that's high enough. And there are some acts who can be fantastic one night and then bomb the next. I look at it and I go, how can I help that act be fantastic all the time? But I'm not gonna risk many bombs.
And do you go to comedians and approach them and say, give them some sort of critique?
It depends. Like if someone is at our club, then yes, I do feel entitled where I can sit there, especially if they're doing a guest spot or they're early on in their relationship with the club, where I can sit down with them and just give them helpful hints. I do try to be positive in all of my interactions with performers. You do want to walk away with positive thoughts. So it's never, even if someone doesn't do well or they're not ready to work the club, it's not no, never. It's more not yet. What can we do to help you get there? Because trust me, my job is way easier when there is a bigger pool of acts to choose from. If I can choose from 500 acts and just rotate those 500 acts and have different acts every single night of the week, I never have to worry about someone coming in and saying, oh, it's the same acts. I've already seen this guy. There's nothing new, which is an issue at some clubs where you do go, oh boy, their lineups are the same every week. And you don't want to be that place. You want to grow and have new blood coming through and be that fresh place. That's a great thing about comedy.
Yeah. Let's say you hear a comedian tell a similar joke to something you've heard someone else say. Do you do anything about it? What's that conversation like?
Yeah, absolutely. You just come up and say, hey, I don't know if you've heard, but this guy or girl does something very similar. And if I know the joke, I would certainly tell them, or I'd say, hey, they even did it on TV. You might want to go watch their Letterman set from a few years back, because that's where I think I remember them doing it. And you just put it out there. That's what my job is. It's not to sit there and say, don't do this joke or don't do that. You kind of let them work that out. We're a small community. If you're working the club, word's going to get to somebody else working in the club that you're doing something similar for the most part. Yeah, there's only so many rules. I'm not the comedy police, I just worry about what's happening at our club. Also, when talking to comics, I'm not going to approach someone that I don't know or someone at another show unless they come to me and they're asking for some type of advice. Then I try to be as honest as possible. But again, I do tend to be one who is more about what can we do to get better.
Yeah, that's important.
That weren't ready,
It's important to yes and rather than, or punching up rather than punching down. It is a big thing. And I think any real comedian would want to know if they've got a similar bit to somebody else.
Oh, for sure.
That's not something that.
That's one of the things is I think being honest. I'm pretty secure in my approach. I have a great relationship with my boss, and I know that my job is safe. And so when I'm approaching someone, I'm approaching them from a place of, this is going to help you. I'm only offering this up to help you. Because again, I want as many great acts working at my club as possible. And if you're a good act and I can help you take some steps positively, I want to do that. Because again, I win in the long run. I might not have, the great thing about our club is we don't manage anyone. So it allows us to manage everyone is how I look at it. I don't have acts that can't come to the club because their manager is worried that I'm going to be whispering in their ear and saying, hey, man, you should let us manage you. And then I also don't have to worry about, I don't have a financial stake in these acts other than, yes, the more they come play at my club and they're able to draw, then of course I win in that respect. But I win because they're a better comic, right, not because, just, hey, I get 10% of everything they do or something like that. So I think most acts know that, and they take where I'm coming from with that knowledge and understand my perspective, that if I'm saying something to you, it's just me going, hey, this is what I think, it's whether it's just punching up a joke, whether it's giving them what might be termed as a criticism. That's the other thing. When talking to comics, I've been doing this long enough where I realize that it's a super personal thing to them. I might be talking about the act, I might be talking about a joke, but in their mind, their perspective is, you're talking about me. You're saying something bad about me. You're telling me I'm not good enough. I'm not ready, or whatever the case. It's a very personal thing. It has to be if you're going to be good, because you have to have a passion. The great thing about this job is that when you go on stage, you can have a passion about anything. It doesn't matter if it's stupid or if it's silly, but if you get up there and you talk about that subject passionately, the crowd will go with you and give you their attention and allow you to be funny. So that's one of the cool things about comedy, I feel, is that some people say, nobody wants to hear anybody talk about caterpillars. And you go, no. What if I told you this? And, and if you're excited about it, you can make anything, funny. So I love that about comedy.